Welcome to the third episode of 13 Ways to Lead with your host, the 13th Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sgt. Maurice Williams. Our featured guest today is Staff Sgt. Tamara Silcott from the 155th Air Refueling Wing. I'm Master Sergeant Eric Gallion, and today's topic is all about leading by being honest. Leaders owe their members the truth. They deserve it. Honesty affords organizations an opportunity for professional culture and environment built on dignity and respect. Chief, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you, Master Sergeant Gallion. I'm here today with Staff Sgt. Silcott. She is a 4.0 aerospace medical technician from the 155th Air Refueling Wing in Nebraska. Sergeant Silcott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 4.0, as he said. I originally joined the Guard in Texas with the 147th Attack Wing in Houston, and then I moved to Nebraska and transferred everything up there. I've been a medical technician for 7 years, and I have one child, and I'm currently in cosmetology school.
Hey, well, thanks for that background information on you. You know, I selected you to sit in on the podcast because, hey, I want to discuss topics with all airmen that we have within our enterprise. You know, I met you out at when I was out doing a wing visit. I was very impressed doing the lunch we'd had and the conversation. And also, even when we got to the town hall, me and General Lowe was up there on stage. Hey, you was one of the first ones to get up and ask the question, and very engaging question, and brought a lot for the audience to get some feedback on. So that's why, you know, hey, I like to have you here. Hey, let you express yourselves and talk about what you think of honesty within, how do you view honesty yourself? And it doesn't have to be just in the military, and it could be anywhere in life. So based on your time, I guess we'll start off in the military and viewing leaders. How would you say that you have viewed honesty from your current supervisors? No, I won't say current supervisors because they'll be listening. So we're going to say supervisors in the past, so It won't be so direct. So I'll open the floor up to you on that one.
I feel like honesty is the common saying, honesty is the best policy. If you can't be honest with your member and you can't be honest with your troop, then you're doing them a disservice. I feel like when we come to drill, and it's time to get things done. If I'm lying to you and telling you, oh, well, yeah, we're gonna do this, and then we're actually doing something else, and we have like a set time that we need to get things done, and I'm lying to you and telling you that something else is going on, it's hard for you to trust that person and be able to want to even want to be their troop if they're not honest with you. Right.
Yeah, so, you know, honesty builds that trust, which leads to credibility with individuals. And also it helps build that culture in that organization when everybody's honest, because people be willing to come forward to you and discuss things. Hey, they know they're going to get true feedback from them, and allow that open conversation. And it empowers the organization, that team. So within your organization, as you look at honesty, do it help you feel empowered within your organization?
Sometimes I feel like, you know, the honesty opens the door and gets you in there, but sometimes the honesty is also what gets you in trouble.
Right. Well, I can understand that based on taking on responsibility for what your communication and things you've done. But, you know, I think as I look at honesty and lead, and by leading, that honesty helps continues to build that culture. At least it may be a repercussions based on the honesty you give, but it builds that trust and that credibility, which, you know, with the leader.
Right.
One of the quotes that I like, Simon Sinek uses. He says, "Bad leaders make edit the truth for fear of causing discomfort. Good leaders accept that the truth is often uncomfortable." Right. You know, so I think that hits where it may be uncomfortable. as we open the doorway, of building that trust.
I was like, a part of being in the med group is you need to be honest at all times, especially when handling someone's personal documentation. Like, this is their whole livelihood, being in the military. If you're not honest with them and what's going forth, they won't be able to trust you, and they won't be able to come to you with that information, any new information, because they know that it's not going to be kept safely. As
you was growing up, because in our household, we our personalities are built from the environment we grew up in. Was honesty a top item within your upbringing?
Yes, both of my parents were in the Army, 20 plus years, retired, and honesty is definitely one of the biggest policies that they had growing up. And if you were not truthful, it was front-leaning rest or.
Okay, yeah, they was getting it in then.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have that as one of the things, and it builds a community, have that dignity and respect among peers, with your peers within your rank structure within your organization. Do you have that? What I always use, for example, the circle of trust of those individuals that's within your peer group, within your environment.
Yes. We're no longer the E4 Mafia. I think we've all promoted to staff now. So
okay,
our group is pretty tight knit, but we definitely keep it within ourselves to make sure that everybody's being honest with each other, and it's a good friendship that we have, and we all trust each other to be able to say, like, hey, like this is something that's happening within our unit, and then we can, sometimes it depends on who's feeling bold enough, but hey, who's gonna take it up to our next chain?
General C.Q. Brown's action orders is Airman Bureaucracy Competition Design Implementation. One of the things he talk about is airmen being empowered. You take someone like yourself, we're looking to build yourself, that airman of 2030 that will need to come in. You'll be that senior NCO over those airmen. So do we look at empowerment, do you feel that you're empowered within the way you're operating now to make decisions, be courage, and understand your role as a 4N currently now?
Yes, we are given so many opportunities to be able to thrive within our unit. TDYs, trainings, all the time. You want to go, they're willing to send you. So,
or even as you think about the current supervisor or supervisors you had in the past, what things that stood out among them that you may have thought made them a good supervisor? If you had a good supervisor, I mean, I just tell you, I don't, throughout my career, I just can't say I've had great supervisors throughout a change, through that. Worked for some great general officers since I've been in the seat in several different locations.
I can't say that I'm a great airman. It took me a while to get here. So I know that my supervisors will probably pull their hair out a little with me sometimes, but definitely they're willing to just work with me and understand that I'm just an airman and not, the perfect person in the world. And at some point they were probably in the same shoes that I was in and messing up and not showing up to drill on time, or sometimes out of regs, but.
Right. Well, one thing I will say, not just an airman, not just an airman, you're an airman. I hear people say that a lot, but hey, for the things that you do, you contributing to the fight. Hey, we just have some growing pains along the way. And with all of us don't get there at the same time. Some of us get there, some of us don't. But just have some growing pains along the way.
Chief, she carries the virtue of humility. That's
okay,
what
that's fixed right in. That's
one of
them.
Great airman, but she's just humble. And that says a lot. I think that says a lot with just being a service member too. is they breed us into humility, and you're so afraid of saying, yeah, I do a great job, because you don't want to showboat or hot dog anybody or anything like that.
Yes, that's some things you got to do sometime. Currently right now, if you looked at your peer group that you're in right now as a staff sergeant, what do you think that peer group look towards, I guess, a senior leader to display or discuss with them when they see those individuals?
I think right now, especially in this current climate, sometimes we do things, I wouldn't say that they're bad necessarily, but sometimes they might offend someone. So I feel like a lot of our leadership has made sure that even though, we still get chastised, don't do that, but we've never experienced the true brunt of our punishment. If it's coming down, they usually stop it at their level before it gets down to us, and then they handle it.
Right. So, over the last year, last 20 months, based on our country, we've had a lot of different things go on with civil unrest. The Air Force looked at a racial disparity within the organization. And, we've had these peer groups. We've had these groups that people have been doing in the organization and sitting down and, having some uncomfortable conversations to get comfortable. Within those conversations, you think people have been honest in sharing their feelings as we look at, lead by being honest to help healing within the organization?
I think a lot of people are very hesitant to be honest in these conversations. Scared to say that, at one point they were or have done something that would cause someone to feel racial disparity. So they sit silently. I try to open up those kind of dialogues with people, but it's not always pleasant. And when you all came down, I asked that question, what is the big Air Force and National Guard Bureau doing to help combat racial disparity within our organization? And General did answer the question, but
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for that feedback on that. And hey, that's why one of the things we was wanted you to sit down, because your boldness and being honest and asking questions, for us to address, and as we lead the organization, continue to lead the organization.
So going on to honesty in how we build trust, and trust being necessary if we hope to succeed, is it possible to successfully complete the mission to defend our nation and our states without trust?
That's a great question there that you put out. Is it possible for us to be successful in completing the mission and then defend the nation without trust? I don't think so, because that trust keeps those teams have that camaraderie among the teams, and that builds the credibility of the team and makes the team works together. And as they go out and work the different missions, because some missions are close knit, some are not. But an unorganized, untrustworthy team, I don't see it being successful in completing the mission. It will be very challenging, because some missions you have to count on the other person to do their part, to follow up, for you to do the second and third part of the mission. So having that untrustworthiness within the organization would be a challenge, or within a team, or within a tight-knit community. I've seen it happen before, and it's real challenging. And it takes time to build that credibility and that trust back up once it's been broken. I've seen several times when that's happened. And I'll throw it over to Sergeant Silcott. Have you observed or had an opportunity to experience where trust has been broken and it was in the process of trying to build that back up among a peer or supervisor, anyone?
For sure. I feel like, especially like at boot camp, they tell you don't report anything to medical because you're going to get kicked out. And so people don't trust us when they come to bring in their documentation. So there's always a broken trust initially, but we've had to build that back up when members come in and we tell them like that's not the process, and that's probably, I was like, it was a process way back when we didn't have all this information that we do now. I was just like, the medical field is ever changing, and the world is ever changing, and so they've come to realize that we can still do our mission while people have certain conditions, and so like building that trust back up to say like, hey, just bring us your documentation, come in, have an appointment, sit down and talk with our providers so that you know that our goal is not to kick you out of the military. Our goal is to keep as many bodies in the military as possible that are able and ready and fit to fight. So,
it's funny that you bring that up, because I remember seeing that from all the way from recruiting. Back when I was a civilian, I was a high schooler, and my recruiter saying, just tell them no. Tell the doctors no on everything. You're going in on Saturday. They don't like working Saturdays. They're trying to find ways to get the process moving along. So if they say, if they have a question and you answer yes, chances are you're not going to be eligible. So just say no to everything. And I think they were a little over exaggerating with it, because the questions weren't as peering. However, just that notion of, hey, deny everything and you'll be all right, already establishes mistrust.
Right.
And now you have to question the system before you can accept it. So that's interesting that you bring that up, because I do remember that from even before I even signed the dotted line.
Yeah, I think that starts off for a behavior that individuals continue to go on throughout their career, and to a certain extent, because that's how you started off coming into the organization, and that's how you will look to get other things accomplished by not being honest about, hey, anything that someone is, not anything, but things that individuals are asking you to get approval on something or get past a certain point.
Correct.
So, just those things right there, those things are what we don't need in the organization, because we want to, like I say, lead by being honest, and we're starting off the opposite direction, and then we'll have to change that, so that can be a little challenging. So, Sergeant Silcott, I want to go back to talking about honesty and being honest within your peer group again. Currently, right now, I think that we have a challenge within our organization of people being empowered. I've mentioned it earlier, and I think individuals not being empowered is due to people not understanding their role in how they perform in their jobs and how it affects the big mission that a wing or a state or the Air Force is required to do. And do you think that more education on learning what you do to understand the why behind and how you operate would broaden the thinking, or do you think it would have a effect on how you think and do your job in performing?
Yes. If people are uneducated and they don't have the drive to be, or they don't have anything to drive them to do their jobs correctly, then they're kind of useless in their function.
We talk about our core values of integrity first, search for self, excellence in all we do. Now, if we look at that, honesty is included within that integrity part. Prior to you getting into the military, and I know you mentioned that your parents was both in the military, and of course they ran a very structured home, and listened to your comments there, that you have a understanding of that prior to you coming in, of doing the right thing whether no one is looking?
Yes, I did have an understanding of it. It didn't impact me until I had actually got in, especially at boot camp. Girls are sitting there sneaking
Yeah, give us an example on one of those situations.
Sneaking in protein bars from the dining facility back into the dorm room. Like, I think they allowed us to have one, but like some girls would take two so we can have a little snack at midnight, which is understandable because who doesn't like chocolate at 2 a.m.? There was a situation where I was working the dining facility duty, kitchen duty. It was in the midst of a torrential rainstorm. So we'd all come out of the kitchen and headed to our hardened shelter. And I was asked to bring a box of protein bars back to the dorm room. So I had already had them in my web belt and completely forgotten about them until the next day after we had all gone back to bed. And the following morning, they were like, "Did you get the protein bars? Did you get the protein bars?" I was like, "Oh yeah, actually I did." Handed out to the girls that asked me, and they were eating them. And I didn't bring enough back for everybody. So one of the girls decided to say, "Hey," she brought protein bars back to the dorm room. I got in trouble. They took me down and they asked me, what the whole situation was, and I was honest. I told them, like, I was asked to bring protein bars. I brought the protein bars. I didn't bring enough for everybody, and I feel like that was the situation. Whoever told on me was upset that I didn't bring enough for everybody. And I feel like the officer that was investigating the situation was appreciative of my honesty because he was just like, yeah, that does make sense. Why somebody would tell on you. And he's just like, but it's a protein bar and you're not supposed to have them, but you were honest about it, so we're not going to recycle you. I was very happy about that because they were talking about recycling me for 2 weeks. I was like, I can't be here another 2 weeks, not at boot camp.
You're already on edge in boot
Right?
camp, let alone that extra added anxiety.
Yeah, so they all had a sit down about honesty in boot camp, and it's just like, if you're just telling on people to get them in trouble, is it really worth it? Like, that's not what you should be using your honesty for. Like, tell on situations that like actually warrant a punishment.
I've never heard of toxic honesty, but that sounds like something like a form of sabotage.
Yes.
To hurt your own team, your own.
And that's what we are. We were a team, and we're all supposed to be honest and cool with each other, but they were just like, well, you didn't bring enough for everybody, so let's just get you in trouble so that.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yes, I did graduate on time.
Congrats.
Well, yeah, that's the main goal there. That's pretty good. So, hey, you got to remember that part of it.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, thanks for allowing a few minutes for us to talk about leading by being honest. Your insight and your perspective counts for the entire enterprise, our Air National Guard, as we have senior leaders and senior NCOs listen to this podcast, and airmen and NCOs listen to the podcast. That's what I want to do, is share the perspective from all ranks, all levels, and you provide that insight to us. So thank you very much for your time. Look forward to seeing you in the future, and you're doing a great job today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief Williams and Staff Sgt. Silcott, for your insights on leading by being honest. Be sure to follow the Air National Guard on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And for more of Team 13, follow the Director of Air National Guard on Facebook. Join us again next month on 13 Ways to Lead, where we will be talking to Senior Master Sergeant Javier Sosa from the 152nd Air Wing on leading by being credible. From all of us here at the A&G Podcast Network, have a great Air National Guard day. Team 13, out. "13 Ways to Lead" is produced by Major Amber Schatz. Our editor is Master Sergeant Brandy Fowler. This episode was recorded at the Secretary of the Air Force Public Affairs Studio in the Pentagon and was mixed by Master Sergeant Brandy Fowler.